Hello. All right, guys, this is the part where I always forget how to turn on my chat. Oh, I'm on my phone. Hold on. All right, let me give you a few more minutes and let me try to, or a few more seconds. No scarf. Nobody can recognize me without the scarf. GK texting me to let me know I'm on. I know I'm on. I just don't know how to find chat, so I can't see you. Okay, there it is. Hello, everyone. How are you? Don't forget, if this is your first time tuning in, to just write in if it's your first time, and if it's not your first time, whoever you are, I'm reading the messages. Just type in where you're tuning in from, what town, what state. I love to see that. Okay. Oh, Sherry and Kelly. So you have a Creeper Squad. They are the winners of the free tickets giveaway that we did last week. There was over, I think, 25,000 people who that share contest reached. So thank all of you so much for doing that and sharing that. And tomorrow night is my last gallery at the Poughkeepsie Grand. So it's probably a good one to come to. And, Wyckoff, New Jersey, Beacon, first time. If it is your first time, just let me know, like how you heard about this. If you stumbled across this Facebook Live, or if someone else shared it with you. If you want to share the name of the person who told you about it, great. If not, that's fine too. Port Jervis, Summitville. Yeah. I don't have my glasses on. I normally don't. I try to avoid them as much as possible. So is this, oh, look at Dot. Dot is here. That's my mother. I was texting her 20 seconds ago saying, like, hey, Mom, do you want to answer these questions? Because you should chime in. So by all means, let chime in, Dot, chime in. So I'm having that clock turn back dark at like fucking 2:00 in the afternoon bullshit in the Northeast, where it's like, really, it's dark and I feel like an Eskimo, and I might as well, I'm sorry if this is your first time, I hope you are at least abreast that I do like to curse very freely. So if you are not open to that, you probably should just turn me off now. But so no, kids don't need to bring my glasses. I have them right here. So yeah, I'm having that like daylight saving time thing happen, and it's like I don't even know what to do with myself. I feel like it's midnight at like 4:00 in the afternoon, and it's ridiculous, and I'm not happy about it because I just want sunshine and whatever. So, first time in Fort Lauderdale. Very cool, Allison. And you've been a follower for years. I love that. Thank you. And let's see, Greenbush, first time, East Greenbush. I like people saying hello to my mom. Another one from East Greenbush. Hi, fellow Deb followers. I love that. Lindsay, thank you for asking. Oh, Miss Lindsay, he's doing very well. Christopher, Lindsay used to be my son's teacher, and he, I just made sure, I did the whole, on my way down to the studio in my basement, I was like, Christopher, do you have your clothes ready for tomorrow? Do you have your backpack ready? Did you do your homework? Is everything all set? Don't let me come upstairs at 9:00 or 9:30 or whatever, and you're not ready. I did one of those. So hopefully he's doing well, Lindsay. I'll let him know that you're tuning in. Couple things before I start even taking your questions. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that is Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon. You can find it if you just type in Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon. You are going to be asked for a couple, like your password or, I don't know, social security number. No. what are you going to be asked? You're going to be asked for your like email and Google login. So a lot of you are getting frustrated with that, but I'm going to be uploading shortly the interview I did with James von Prague, which was totally a thrill for me to be able to be face-to-face because we did a Skype face-to-face session, which was super, super exciting for me. So that'll be launching my new Intuitive View podcast slash show on YouTube. So you're going to want to get notification of that. I interviewed John Holland this afternoon. I've interviewed Paul Coleman. I interviewed Dr. Bernie Siegel, and somehow that interview got completely lost into the ether. But what I've learned is that I'm not a good interviewer because, especially of mediums, believe it or not. And you would think like, oh my, it was a high moment for sure to speak to James. And I've spoken to John a few times, but I don't even know what to ask mediums because I'm always like, I don't have anything to ask them. I am one. I don't know what the hell do people want to know? So it was really tough. I was able to ask certain things for me, things that I want to know as a medium. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not a good interviewer because I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm boring. I'm supposed to be listening to your answer, but I'm already trying to think of the next question. So I have a deeper respect for people like the Oprahs and the Barbara, what's her name? Walters, and those sorts of people because it's a skill that I don't really have, and I don't think I really even want to work on. So you should tune in for my interviews just to see me like, so what's up? You know, because that's kind of how I felt. Yeah, where is Mick Isaac? Where is Mick Isaac? I don't know if he's on. I should text him privately to see if he's coming on. So that's the YouTube. Facebook, you've probably already liked my page. I'll put the link for my book because a lot of you are still asking, where do we get the book? You could just Google it or type into Amazon in the presence of proof right here, whatever. Still working on that. I would like to take a couple of questions about the book tonight if you have them. And I know a bunch of you have said, you know, I've been reading it and I've been highlighting and all of that. So that's where I would like some of the questions, where I'm looking at my notes there. Hold on. Link. Oh, yeah, a book signing. I'm having a book signing in Newburgh at this really adorable gift shop, vintage store / craft store. It's called SJ Vintage 1928. It's on South Plank Road in Newburgh. Actually, it's a funny story, Dot. Shall we tell a story? I think we shall. Oh, hey, Mickey Isaac, you're here tonight. So let's tell the story, Dot, about how I got to have a book signing at SJ Vintage. The book signing is on November 17th, which is this Saturday from 1 to 2:30. And I actually went to this gift shop, which is really, really cute. They have really good quality things from artisans, local artisans, like jewelry makers. And I can't even tell you, like, stuff that's well beyond, like, my realm of people making, like, really cool stuff. Art. There's a wreath there that I really want. And if it's still there, I'm just going to get it when I'm there Saturday. So I was there attending a calligraphy workshop with my mother. And the calligraphy workshop was originally intended for my mother and my niece to go to. But my niece last minute was, you know, being 17 and was sort of like, oh, I can't make it. So I was like, oh, Mom, I'll go. You know, I like never, ever do anything, you know, just like for fun. So I was like, yeah, I'll go spend the afternoon with my mom and I'll learn calligraphy, right? Well, wrong. I didn't learn calligraphy. Well, they taught calligraphy, but I wasn't good at it. But anyway, so I'm at the shop and someone else who comes to me was there at the calligraphy class. And that was neat. Like, oh, hey, Deborah, whatever. Someone, you know, very dear to me. And she was there, but we sat far apart. And I'm doing the class. And like my mom and I were kind of giggly at just how fast the class was going and how like shaky your hand gets and, you know, that sort of stuff. Afterwards, we go shop around the shop. And my mom's like, tell the women who you are. And I'm like, Ma, shush. Who am I? I'm nobody. Shush. What am I going to tell them? Hi, I'm Deborah. Like, they don't give a shit. They don't know. So she was like, tell them. I'm like, no, please. I'd rather die. I never go up somewhere and think that people like know what I do or no, never. Quite the opposite. I talk about it in my book. And she's like, just tell them. No way, Mom. Well, I'm shopping around the store and my mom, who is in a wheelchair, wheels herself up to the cashier, the desk. And I'm now standing right behind her because I'm looking at these really, really awesome bracelets that I'm getting also. It'll be a shopping fest for me on Saturday. And I hear her say, do you know who she is? So now I'm like, what in the actual is she doing? Right? So I'm standing right behind her. I'm tall, but she's extremely short because she's sitting in a wheelchair. And she's like, have you ever heard of Deborah Hanlon? So now I'm turning all shades of red, majorly purple, red, mortified. And the woman's like, oh, I hear this woman. Yeah, she's on the radio. And so that helped. At least it wasn't like a who, what? No, I don't know who it was. That was good. Or, medium, what do you mean? What's a medium? I love that. And she's like, well, she turns to like motion towards me, not realizing that I'm standing right behind her. And I really scared her. She's like, oh my God, Deb, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, Mom, that's fine. It's totally fine. It's fine. However, because of that interaction, I'm going to do a book signing there. So it was meant to be, it was meant to happen, but I was mortified, too mortified that she even, uttered, do you know who she is? Because I'm like, oh my God, who am I? I'm a batshit crazy mother of like 8,000 boys who is like crabby because it's dark at like 2:00 in the afternoon. That's who I am. So anyway, Saturday, November 17th, come to this really great gift shop. I'm doing book signing there. And we'll be talking about the book a little bit, and I can't wait to meet you. And I can't wait to bring more people to their shop because you really need to see it. And Newburgh doesn't typically have very women-owned, small, like mom and pop shop businesses anymore. So I love that it's a win-win-win all the way around. And Kelly, I did see where you wrote, am I going to be signing books at the Poughkeepsie Grand? And I will be. So yes, I will be doing that for sure. On Wednesday at Poughkeepsie Grand, there are still tickets available for that gallery. So let's see. What else? I think that's it. That's all my notes. So let's start. Yeah, you like my mom. Yes, you would like your mom, but my mom too, but I was like mortified. Totally mortified. So let's start with your questions. Does anybody have a question about the book? I kind of made notes myself that I wanted to discuss about the books. There it is. But let's see what you guys have. Oh, Victoria, 1:00 to 2:30 is Saturday. Oh, okay. Grace, this is a good one. Grace, I saw something you wrote earlier today now. Oh, I think you were the one that said you were up until 11:30 last night reading the book. I think that was you, right, Grace? And your name stood out to me, Merkel, because I kept thinking of Meghan Markle. And I was like, oh my God, imagine if Meghan Markle read the book. Then I'd be like, do you know who the fuck I am, people? Meghan Markle knows who I am, but she doesn't, so I won't do that yet. So let's address this, a great question. Sherry, yes, you can buy the book at all galleries, yes. So Grace said, I read in your book that we are all spirit in a human body. Is it planned who will be our parents, and does spirit enter the fetus at the time of the quickening? Yes, it is pre-planned. It's sort of like this. I don't used to like to use the word contract, but I seem to always use it. We choose the parents we ended up having. That goes for the biological parents we had, and then if you're adopted, your adopted parents you chose. If you have a neighbor who acted and served as a mom or dad too, then they too were chosen. So we are, in a way, we chose our parents, which I do a class at the center entitled, Why Am I Here? And it's all about what are you here for? What are you here to learn? And if the quickest way for us to understand what we're here for is to ask ourselves, why did we choose the parents we chose in this lifetime? And I could already hear my mom like snickering and giggling for sure. But we all chose these parents that we biologically are attached to, and then whoever raised you. And the reason for that is they were the ones that were going to develop you the most and develop your spirit and human self together the most and push you forward and give you the lessons that you really are here to learn. So in that class, I have the group list the pros and cons of both your mom and dad and anyone else in your life who raised you and was significant in your upbringing. And your list of pros and cons, because there are both. Yes, Dottie, there are some cons having you as my mom, girlfriend. She's laughing. She knows what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of pros too. But you check out your pros and cons that your parents gave to you. And that list ends up becoming sort of your roadmap with what you're here to learn. What are those lessons that you need to get? So if you were, say you were adopted, and so part of the lesson here in life was abandonment, because your biological parents, whether it was abandonment literally, like they left you on the doorstep of Notre Dame, or they just willingly said, I know that I'm not able to take care of this child, and gave you to a family who could provide for you. A lot of times, and not always, but a lot of times, adopted children feel that there's some sort of biological abandonment, which would be one of the things you're here to learn. So your parents completely start you off with what your lessons here to learn on. And I am not sure as far as when our spirit enters the body, to be honest. I really don't know. I'm just trying to think of readings and what they've said during that. I've heard at times it wasn't until the baby had a name. So that could be in utero or days even after a baby's born. So I think that varies based on my experience, but I really couldn't say that, oh, the spirit enters the fetus in this particular moment. That part I'm not sure of, or don't have a very accurate answer. So I don't know what James is writing there. McIsaac is writing. Your parents were rough. So James, and I know a little bit of you, but that could be about how to give and receive love. So if, say, your parents were rough and you needed to learn how to love yourself, because maybe, and I'm not saying this is your case, James, but maybe you didn't feel loved as a young child. So your job was to learn what it feels like not to be loved. And then your soul takes over and starts thrusting you into areas where you go, okay, this feels good. This doesn't feel good. What feels good is loving myself and showing love to others and learning the lesson of love. Or sometimes it's of being free spirit. So if your parents say were rough and militant and everything was a certain way and everything was very black and white, a person's lesson here in life could very well be to say, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good for me. And you go the opposite end and you want to be a free spirit because of it. So it's super, super, super fascinating. That class, I haven't taught it in a while. And this always makes me realize, like, oh my God, that's one of my favorites, because the lights start going on for people where you're like, oh my gosh, because everyone always says to me, what am I here for? What's my purpose? What am I here to learn? And just asking yourself what the pros and cons, and then look for the themes that you chose the parents that you did. And that will lead you or put you on the path to better understand some of the things you're here to learn or need to learn, which is fascinating. Let's see. Oh, James, let's ask this question. Baby's born. Have they already met their relatives in heaven before being born? Absolutely. Where we go, when we die, was that reconnected to all source. I call it the collective whole in the book, is where we come from. So it's a return to source. And yes, there's a meeting, so to speak, or an acknowledgement, and maybe awareness is a better word, for those about to be born, which is a lot of times why, say, a 2-year-old will point to a picture and say, oh, that's Poppy. We used to call him Froggy. And you're thinking, how did he know that? How did she know that? And it's because they met on the way in before. So they meet the babies before we do. A lot of people will say, I'm so sad that my mom or my dad or my grandparents or whomever's, my siblings, haven't met my children. And I'll say, well, they haven't met them in physical form, but they met them before you did. And a lot of times they do express that they deliver them, so to speak, to you, or they kind of, in human terms, take care of them before we actually get them. Okay. Let me see, Kelly. I hope that answers your questions. Let's see, Kelly. You have a book question. That's excellent. Dot, hold on. Sorry, Kelly. Dot said she'll be your mom, James. James, you can have my mom as your mom. About once a month, she needs her hair colored. So you need to do that. And I bet you would do a much better job than I do. And Thursday, you can meet us because we're going to go through all the rest of the pictures in her home, because I always say to her, and this sounds so terrible, I always say, Mom, if you die, the only thing I want are all the family photos. And we laugh and giggle. But that's all I want, because I know that's valuable. And I'm like the only one in the family who will actually honor them. So you can come on Thursday, James, and go through all these ridiculous family pictures with us and a lot more. But you too, you should hook up for sure. You could be his mom. Okay, Kelly, I get a kick out of myself talking about my mom while she's tuning in, by the way. Just freaking loves it. I love it. Makes me laugh. Book question, Kelly. How the hell, girlfriend, thank you. How the hell did you come up with so many questions? Is this to me? Yeah. I related so easily to the book because of that. My brain functions best off grazing questions. How the bleep? When the hell did we? Why the hell? I love how down to earth you are and how normal your thought process is. Oh, isn't it so nice to be called normal? My brain never, ever shuts off, ever, with questioning everything. And not even so much myself, although I totally do that, but questions about the nature of reality and time, and what does this mean, and why am I perceiving something a certain way, and I'm ridiculously introspective, and what part of an argument or what part of an issue is mine versus what someone else's, and how is my perception skewed based on my egoic human self, and I never can escape it, but that is my hobby. So forget calligraphy. I'm not good at that. That is not my hobby, but learning about self and what self is and what self can do for myself is literally like an obsession for me. That's why I'm good with helping people, because I have not come across anyone who hasn't or who I haven't had the same sort of questions and thoughts. This is why I can relate so much to people, because I'm constantly trying to dive deeper into myself and my own feelings all the time. Very much thanks to Dot, who's tuning in, because when I was a kid, I would talk about all sorts of things with her, and thank God she was so easy to talk to, and I could bounce these things off of as very young as, I mean, I want to say 8, maybe younger, I don't know, but I didn't have a shortage of conversation with her, and she really listened. So I totally I know that's why I'm able to do what I do, because I exercise the internal instrument of self-reflection very, very young, and had basically like my own little therapist in the form of my mom around all the time. So those were the huge cons. No, those were the pros. Those were the pros of my mom and having my mom. The con of my dad, who was 3,000 miles away as I was growing up, was that the pro of him being away was that I had more time with just my mom and I to develop my inner self. So there's pros and cons to everything in life, and you just have to kind of surf your way through which ones work best for you. So yeah, my brain is constant. Oh God, I don't like this question. Let's see. My mom, I'm gonna kill you. Great. Now I'm gonna cry on Facebook Live. So for those of you tuning in for the first time, having just spoken about, how internally reflective I am, I also fucking need a therapist. I don't. I really don't. I've got them. So please don't be like, I'm a therapist. Can I be your therapist? No, you can't. So, Dot, my mom asks, why do some people experience so much loss? And then I'm gonna kill you, Dot. Here's a con of my mother tuning into Facebook for me. Why do my mom saying, I'm asking for a friend. And yeah, right. That's one of your life lessons, Dot, is to experience loss. Fuck. I can talk to strangers about intense emotional details and have no emotion. No, not no emotion. It's not like I'm a sociopath. But I could talk from the heart, but when it's someone so close to me, it kills me. Well, Dot, you had so much significant loss. Fucker. To experience loss. You came in here with that lesson. But the positive of it is your losses were your children's gains. Your loss is so open and so raw to yourself. I know, speaking for myself, was again that gift that exercised my internal instrument. And why do people suffer loss? It's like, that sucks. It does for all of you. I wish I knew, and I do know. If you were just a stranger asking me that question, I would say, for your soul's development, for you to experience reconnection after loss, for you to exercise the ability to keep moving and serve as the purpose, to be a beacon of light for people who also experience loss. Because sometimes life is fucking shitty, and that's why. And also, and I know you in particular have suffered some very extraordinarily big and significant losses, but to a degree, we're all suffering loss all the time, and we cannot stay aligned with our losses, and we cannot stay in the identity of our losses. So, loss is loss, but we all have it. It's just different degrees, but we cannot let it define us and constantly be focused on what we've lost. And I'm not saying to think positively of all that you have. I'm not saying that. Certainly not to you, Dot. But it could very well be, or most likely very well is, for you to grow and to learn and to expand as well as everyone around you. Also, something that my dad always says, which I'm sure, Dot, you're thrilled that I'm quoting my father. But after their son died, my brother, my dad said that was it. The family had enough tragedy. And I always hold that into my head of like, okay, the family had enough tragedy, that there shall be no more of that. So sometimes it's kind of like with Jesus. I'll die so that you don't have to. You kind of took one for the team is basically what I'm saying there, Dot. So thank you for that. And if you tune in again and ask me a question that makes me cry, I'm going to cut a bitch. Okay? That's right. I said that. And James, she's all yours, boyfriend. She's all yours. I'm passing her off. You got that? Oh my God. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to read your things. James. Keep talking to your mom, James. James says, pull it together. Okay. Let's see. What else? Oh. Did somebody ask how long I cursed? Oh, Melanie. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not kidding with the cursing. It's kind of I'm an ugly crier. I'm logging off. Good night. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Melanie, I experienced loss at 5. Upward, onward. How come I can't? Jason. Oh, Jay. Or Dot. Jay is on the line. I did just say got a bitch because I did. Melanie said, I began experience loss at 5 and onward. I always say, I can't wait to see how this unfolds in my passing. I don't believe you're only given what you can handle because at times I could not handle it. I agree. I can't stand, Melanie, when people say, God doesn't give you what you can't handle because that, I don't know about that. I think we all experience a lot that we really can't handle. Oh, look, the numbers jumped up since I started to cry. So maybe I should start crying more. More people are tuning in. Either that or people are like texting on the side like, you got to see Deb. She's such an ugly crier. Swear jar, I'd be rich. No, I wouldn't be rich. I wouldn't. I'd be poor because I'd keep putting money into it. Let's see. Yes, I hate that saying too. Yep. Oh, look at this. Eileen's question. Eileen is my buddy who always, every time I'm with her or my mom, I'm always like, Ma, you're reminding me of Eileen. And when I'm with Eileen, I'm like, geez, you're reminding me of my mother. So Eileen writes, why do we experience multiple losses? Does God think I'm stupid and not getting a lesson? I'm an ugly crier too. No worries. No, it's a part of life. It really is. And you too, Eileen and Dot, and so many of you tuning in here, have had a very, very big unfair share of major multiple losses. And let's not forget, let me define loss. And I talk about loss in the book is loss doesn't necessarily mean death. Death is one loss, but loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of the ability to walk, loss of the ability to do anything that you used to be able to do, loss of a friendship. There's so many losses. Loss of yourself, kind of not having a path is a loss. So we can really, really, really count up all this loss that we've all had, but we really can't stay plugged in and tuned into only the losses, because then we could count up millions. Death is the greatest loss, if you will, because it is so physically final. It's infinitely spirit. That its spirit is infinite, but physically final. Death creates that breaks you wide open, so much so that you can't ignore the loss anymore. So you can lose a job and suffer that and grieve that, but then there's a level of moving through it, moving forward, and finding a new self. After having a death, the same thing happens. You move forward because you have to, but you find a new self. This is the best part of loss. This is exactly what my book is about. When we experience loss, and we all will on one level or another, there is an opportunity in that loss to really dig deep into yourself to see where you're going to transform and where you're going to reach and make everything different. So loss, and particularly physical death, is the greatest vehicle for change, for personal transformation. And this is why I started my center, because after a reading, I would see that people, yes, they were connected to their loved ones and they finally had that proof that they're still around and that they're okay. And that is super, super valuable and needed at times. But I would notice that they'd still go back to life and living and still kind of be in that robotic misery and playing out their old core beliefs and not even knowing it. So I started my center on the concept of loss so that people could start to dig deeper into what part of themselves did they find through those losses. And that would be the big prize, if you will, to loss. What did you find about yourself? That's the point of loss. And no, it's not that God thinks you're stupid and you're not getting the memo. It just might be that you need to go deeper, the depth into self. And nothing makes you dig deeper than when you are completely flat on your emotional ass grieving, whatever it is. It really forces you to keep real. And Dot, you could chime in. Okay. You guys are like having a conversation on your own. You're not even listening to me now, are you? Yeah. Some of you are just totally ridiculous is what you are. Okay. Let me see what this one is about. Stop sipping? Who's sipping? Me? Sipping? I was just about to take a sip. Pardon, of my water with lemon. Okay, Robin, if someone whose blood runs through you never knew about you, do they finally know you exist once they cross over? I've asked this question to you once before, which I did answer, but I need to ask it again. I need to know. Oh, that's great. And I'm glad you specified that you've asked me this before. 100% yes. I can't tell you how many times I've connected people to loved ones with, and they'll say to me, I didn't even know them. I didn't even know them. And I'm like, I know that, but they know you and they're acknowledging you. So 100% they do know about you and they know all about you, not just that you existed. So when we pass, this is really all in the book. You guys really do have to grab this book. When we pass, we go through that life review, and in that life review is it's not just kind of like, a lot of movies portray the life review very one-sided. And I'd love for a really cool big film producer, director to work with me so you can experience this, or we can really get this out there. Actually, Jay, this might be the project that we work on. But when we pass, we don't just see our own life in review. We see our life from our vantage point, as well as the vantage point of everyone we've ever come contact with. So it's like rewinding the videotape of our lives. So from the moment we pass, we start going backwards. And say 15 minutes before you passed, you were on a bus and you were sitting next to someone on the bus and you were extremely rude to them and you hurt their feelings and you were just mean and nasty. In your passing, you'll go through that life review and rewind that 15 minutes. You will be sitting on that bus again as the person you were rude to, and you will feel how you made them feel as them. This is incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And the reason for this multi-dimensional or multi-perspective life review is so that we can get a better glimpse of who we were here. As we all think of ourselves in one way here, and we have blind spots. And as much as I constantly am trying to figure out who I am and what I am and how my perception is portrayed, I will never be able to fully comprehend that until I cross over. So we will experience the negativity we caused as well as the positive energy, the positive feelings we've caused. So on that same example, if you made the person on the bus sit next to you and feel really, really great, and say you paid for their bus fare, or they talked about they didn't have their rent money and you gave it to them, whatever it was, if you've helped someone and made someone feel good, genuinely made someone feel good, you'll feel that as them as well. And through everybody's perspective of you, you will get a very clear view of the human self that you were in this lifetime. So that person, Robin, who you say didn't know about you, will totally know about you. And they also know how you feel or felt about them not knowing you. So it's unbelievable how profound and powerful the life review is. Since we're not in the life review right now, it is one of those things that we really must bring to our consciousness as often as possible. I want to say all the time, but we are human and we're not going to do it perfectly all the time. But to remember that, how am I making someone feel? That goes for false compliments too. And something that irks my soul and I see a lot of women do this. They create or say a false compliment. Now, if you're saying a false compliment because you really want someone genuinely feel better and feel empowered, that's fine. If you are giving a false compliment because you think that's what they want to hear, or sometimes because you want them to feel better, say a friend asks, "Does this make me look fat?" And you're like, "Yes, it does." But you're not going to tell them that. And you're like, "No, you look great." That's a false compliment. And you are going to feel that. You're going to feel that again someday. So really pay attention to your authentic intention with all your encounters as much as possible. And really ask yourself, am I being authentic right now? There is more power to your honesty than your false personas. What do I mean by that? Become aware of when you're not nice. Become aware of when you're being ignorant. Become aware of those moments where you are judgmental. Really own them instead of being like, "I'm never like that. I would never do that." Start noticing the place and places where you too are an asshole. And I mean this spiritually. There's so much power in transformation, because what this does is once we see our own inner a-hole, I don't want to put money in a jar, so I'm going to just say a-hole. Once we embrace that, we then, when someone else is being an asshole, I have to put money in, we disengage or disarm the negative energy there, because we're like, "Ooh, you know what? I've done that too. I've been a jerk too." This happens to me in the car all the time. Those of you who tune in, like I have like woohoo rage with slow left lane drivers. It's just a thing for me. When someone is behind me, which is super, super rare, because I tell you what, no one passes me, or if someone wants to pass me, I let them. Even if it's 120 miles per hour, I let them pass me. However, if someone's acting aggressive to me, behind me, there's a part of me that's like, how many times have I been that person who is overly aggressive and aggravated for whatever reasons? I can own my own bullshit. I really can, a lot of the time. So that's what I mean by really starting to pay attention to when you're genuine and when you're authentic, and be open and honest. You don't have to tell the world. Just tell yourself, I said that, but I really didn't mean it inside. Why am I saying something I don't really mean? Start asking yourself those questions, and you can't help but naturally come out to be more authentic. So this is embracing your inner asshole. The world is not a mean, horrible, terrible place. I saw that on Facebook. Someone commented, not on my post, I don't think it was, about how horrible and scary the world is. And I thought, no, it's not. It's really, really not. And why do I say that? There are 7 billion people on this planet. I think we're doing okay considering 7 billion people have 7 billion agendas, 7 billion stories, 7 billion grief, losses, highs, lows, and we're not all going batshit crazy. Yes, there are a few that go completely AWOL. Yes, there's negativity in people who act just atrociously. Yes, there are. But the majority of people I know always say they want to help. They want to be helpful in the world. They want to be seen and felt as a good, helping human. So you have to remember that. Yes, there's going to be a jerk. Yes, there's going to be that person that dumps their trash on the side of the road. Whatever it is, but embrace your own inner asshole and you will have more patience and tolerance in seeing your own behavior in someone else. Otherwise, if you start focusing on all the things everyone else does that's totally wrong, you will have a miserable day, a completely miserable day, because there's plenty to be miserable and crabby about. Cindy, is that true? Was I behind you before? I don't know. Yes, brake checks, Susie. Some people do brake checks. I don't do brake checks. I don't do that. But, there are times when people brake check me and I'm like furious. And then I'm like, okay, what else do I expect them to do? So there's two sides. There's two sides to every coin. And yes, Jennifer, honesty is the most important, self-honesty. And people are so afraid of it. People are afraid of their true selves being really known because sometimes your true self is an asshole. That's why we're afraid of it. And I'm telling you all, if you can embrace that side of yourself, you're going to live more authentically. You're not going to have to cover your tracks. You're not going to have to explain yourself. And that is super high level living, to be totally honest. And that's something that you don't need money for. You don't need anything else but a desire to know yourself. And the desire to know yourself reaps great, great rewards energetically and spiritually speaking. All right, so let's see. Shelly, I heard someone say, great question, Shelly, so let me plug into this. Does it hurt my father when I have bad memories of him? Does he have to relive the pain he caused over and over? I don't want that. That's amazing, Shelly. And a fantastic question. When you've had a parent that was either abusive or tough or maybe overly critical, basically it's a parent who is completely unaware. Unaware of what? Unaware they had their own conditioning that caused them to pass down a negative conditioning and negative parenting. Does he relive that over when you call forward those bad memories? And I know Shelly's dad is passed. No, he doesn't live it over. He's been freed from all of that. He also knows that you still have remnants of that past conditioning to work through. And so it's not hurting him at all. And it's not hurting you to have those memories because sometimes you need to recall them so that you can work through them. So no, not at all. He doesn't get to relive it. Now, some of you, because you said, I don't want that. I don't want him to feel bad. I don't want to keep him trapped or, whatever you're imagining that would happen. And I know Shelly very well. Some of you will hear my answer and say, well, that's bullshit. I want them to feel it. I want them to understand what so-and-so did to me. They already got that in that download, that life review. Someone who did any sort of negativity, like I said on that bus, if you were rude and mean to someone, you're going to feel how that person made you feel as them. So your parent or whoever it was that was abusive towards you will also feel what they did to you through your eyes. And that is how they finally learn. They will feel what you felt, the insecurities that came from it, the lack of trust for the rest of your life. They'll also feel the desire, like in Shelly's case, the desire to not be a parent like that. He also gets to feel that. So for those of you who are mad, like, no, I want my dad, my mom, whoever it is who abused me, I want them to suffer with that. Totally normal human experience, totally acceptable response. And they will feel that in their life review, but they're not holding on to it. They're not living it over and over. We here do. We totally do that here, but they do not. So that's a fantastic, fantastic question. That is a high level thought question too, Shelley. Oh, I like that, Valerie. Yes, let's just back up a little bit. Valerie commented that we can be authentic, but everyone sees us from their own perception and their own life experiences. That is 100% accurate and correct. And when we realize that, we take very little personally. And we have to realize, okay, this person can't see me. And no one can see ourselves as ourselves until we cross. It's very difficult to do here. We can come close and we have people who we are in alignment with and energetic resonance with in physical form, but all of the real pure download and pure process, if you will, happens when we cross over. So we can get close, but we're not going to get it 100%. But it's super important to realize that someone else's perception of me is their own. You know that saying, like, what other people think of you is none of your business? It's very true. It's our human self, though, that gets caught up. And something I'm noticing in myself, and I really did talk about it a lot last week, was I hate to be misunderstood, right? Again, I had somebody complaining about not having enough appointment availability for this person, and that I seem to be doing a lot more public, large groups, and I don't take one-on-ones, and I've become very personal. And at first, my first human response takes over, and I have a rage, and I want to say, go yourself. I'm so pissed, right? Because I can't tell you how I'm like, oh my God, if only people knew like how much I try to help with my own limitations. So my first human instinct is to go nuts. Like, how could they say this? That's so wrong. That's so false. Then I have to realize, okay, their perception. Then I have to realize, okay, Deb, what is the truth here? The truth is, this is the truth, blah, blah, blah. And it's a battle of the ego. It really is. My human self, my ego took a hit, because probably the worst thing you can say to me is that I'm impersonable and that I don't care about people. It's probably the worst, because my experience of me is quite the opposite, almost to a fault, that I care so much about people. I care so much about humanity. Doing this in public, I do hate certain people. Don't get me wrong. On some people, I'm like, are you kidding me? Bleep, delete. My human self does that. My higher self operates accordingly at much higher levels. But thank you, Valerie, for that excellent point. Okay. Cindy, how did you learn all of this from the other side? And did you collect this knowledge over time, or do you know you're being taught? That's a cute question. I like that. There's so much to that. This is all that I am. I don't even know. Even maybe Dot can answer this one for me. It's through observation of self, observation of people. Like I said earlier on, I don't know if you were on, but my early life, I had just so much conversation and processing, mental and emotional processing, a ton of it with my mom on anything that went on. You know, if I saw girls in my class being very catty and jealous or acting mean to each other, I would go home and I would talk about it with my mother, and I would process it and recognize, oh, okay, I see where they're coming from, or I don't like where they're coming from, whatever. So there was a lot of hands-on discussion and processing. In the book, I talk about my mom's bookshelf that had everything about energy and spirit and meditation and consciousness and thoughts becoming reality. And, you know, this is late 1970s, early 1980s, when this stuff was not readily available. And I was exposed to it. I had exposure to it. So I just like somebody who has exposure to someone who plays the piano in the house, they're going to pick it up. And it just so happened that I'm so fortunate that this is also something I truly crave, love, and desire. I have no other hobbies, none, particularly calligraphy. But you'll get that if you saw earlier. But yeah, this is all I really care to learn. So there's also that too. It's me, it's my environment, it's my upbringing, and it's my desire, my passion. It's the only thing I find interesting. Everything else bores me. And Valerie, let's see what you wrote back. We can try to be authentic to ourselves as best we can, and the right people will get it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Some people will get it, but as long as you know you're authentic to yourself, as authentic as possible, you will get it. So it won't matter as much. And like I just shared that example, I get hot and I get furious when people misunderstand me and then find the need to poke the bear, so to speak. I wasn't making time for this one person because I had 19 other people that day write to me saying they need an appointment right away. I can't say that to everyone. I try to be fair to everybody. So in that case, I was misunderstood by them. They were upset that their needs weren't met readily by me. And I'm authentic to myself, but there's people in my life that I wish were receptive to my authentic self, and they're still not. So at least I know, like, I'm doing the very best that I can, and I'm willing to meet anyone halfway. And anyone who's not willing to meet you halfway, I guess, is the wrong person. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the right people will get it, because even if they don't get it, you're still authentic to yourself, which is really what ultimately matters. Maybe take the word right people. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, because the people that you resonate with and the people that matter and the people that you stick with are your tribe. And those who are not. That's kind of how it is. Yeah, Dot says yes. And in answer to your question, Cindy, some people are born singers, painters, scientists, and we are born with this gift. We are. Dot and I, we definitely have that resonance on all of this. Let's see, Cindy. Let's see, can a sign of a loved one passed make the lights flicker or surge as a sign? Totally yes, but not all the time. And for those of you who really, really know me, I'm always erring on the side of logic. My logic is sometimes a flickering light is a bad light bulb or a faulty electrical outlet, an old lamp, something like that. And if it's that, then that's what it is. But many times that there will be that surge of energy, and they most likely use anything with light and frequency. So radio waves, internet waves, your texts, phone calls, lights, any electronics, because they are operating on a frequency. And when we pass, we are operating on a much higher frequency. So it is the easiest way for your loved ones to manipulate those things. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen for everyone. It doesn't mean that your loved ones can't manipulate it. It just means that it's not happening for whatever reasons. Okay. Yes, Valerie, you got it. My Dot says, can I give the example of the continuum with A to Z? Do I know what you mean? I do know what you mean, but I don't. So if you want to, I should have your voice on here. We're going to have to do that, Dorothy. I know my mom won't want to come on camera, but we can get her on here. I think that would be a really good show. Is my mom an intuitive also? Yeah, my mom is one of the most intuitive people. She can nail a person, know a lot about them by meeting them quickly. Not so much, well, you could speak to that, Dot. Not so much mediumship as much as just an intuitive sense of people. Patty, let's see. Sometimes I'm nice to be a people pleaser. I hate conflict. Yes, Patty. A lot of people are like that, but I guarantee you, Patty, there is a tremendous amount of internal conflict within you. So you don't want external conflict. So you will just kind of please everybody. but that leaves you holding on to all the conflict that you're trying to avoid, which is why you're trying to avoid it, because it resides within you. So if you can look at that and really embrace okay, what part of this do I not want to take a stand? Where's my fear in taking a stand? Because if I agree with one person, that means this person might be mad at me. Really dive into all of that. But I guarantee anyone who wants to avoid conflict is left holding the conflict. And I'm not saying that we should all love conflict by any means. Conflict is draining. It's exhausting. But when you're trying to put out all the fires somewhere, energy needs a source or has a source. So if you're not addressing the conflict externally, that means you are leaving it internally. People who are big people pleasers tend to have a lot more heart issues because there's an issue with receiving or giving love, and a ton of digestive issues because a lot of times anger and unresolved conflict actually settles into our abdominals. So you want to really be mindful of the body's connection to not wanting that conflict. Very, very important. But it's a perfect question to ask when I'm talking about learning about self, because you're aware of this and you're aware that you want to please people and you want everyone to be happy, but at whose expense and for what? Some things we're like, oh my God, it's not even worth it. I'm just gonna let them have it. That's fine. But if it's a constant thing, then you really want to look inward. And yes, I saw that you wrote exactly. So that's not good. That's not healthy. And then your physical body. So anything energetically, mentally, and emotionally that we experience externally or hold off externally, the body absorbs, which is why we have all sorts of wild illnesses or symptoms of major illnesses that doctors can't diagnose, is usually because all of this external mental, emotional energy and or conflict or whatever settles into our body, and it needs a place to go. So it attacks organs. It makes us less motivated. So it's really, really critical to your overall health and well-being to address these things. Very, very, very important. Ray, you're going to be flicking lights all over the city of Troy. Now we know this. So that's good to know, because I'm sure the city of Troy in upstate New York will now we can all say, it's Ray. It's Ray. You don't need to call the electric company. It's just Ray. I have a thing with Troy, New York. I went to Fordham University for a semester when I was first away at college. And one of the girls in my dorm was very shy girl. And I'll never forget, she would say, I'm from Troy, New York. And I remember thinking, where the heck is Troy, New York? Because I was from upstate New York in the Hudson Valley, Newburgh area. And I couldn't imagine being any further north, because you know how the upstate line keeps shifting based on where you're from. So if you're in Westchester, those in, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, you guys are like 100 miles away. And I remember thinking, where the heck is Troy? And I looked it up on a map and I was like, wow, that's really far. Little did I know that, 15, 20 years later, I'd be constantly traveling up to and around Troy in the Albany area for work. So just a little tidbit about Troy. Super boring, I know. Carly asks, do I feel ill if I don't deliver a message? That's a really cool one. Let's see. Years ago, when I was much more untrained, certain things would stick with me and linger with me. So in a way, yes. I do often feel today ill, and I start to sweat and get a little dizzy when I'm in a gallery or a reading and the message isn't getting received. Then I feel very ill. So many times I'll keep harping on like, no, but they're saying they're left hand. And the person's like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, oh my God, why aren't they understanding this message? And I'm like, am I getting it wrong? Am I interpreting this wrong? I'm like, they're showing me the left hand, problem with the left hand. And then if the person is like, no, then I start to feel ill, because I'm like, okay, I'm holding on to this message. I can't release it. They're not letting it go from me because clearly this is important information. And then that's why I usually stay on a particular topic or message so that I can release it. And as soon as it's released or as soon as it's acknowledged, it it is released from me. So in a way, yes, way less now today than I was when I first started and was super untrained in all of it. That's a great question. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Valerie, you were going to talk about what happens to people who commit suicide online, and I might have missed it. If you haven't, can you rediscuss? I can't remember if I did address it. Very important to me to make sure that people hear that those who commit suicide cross over, and they are not spending eternity in limbo or misery on the other side. And I can't tell you how many thousands of people, thousands upon thousands of energies I've read that have taken their own life, and they are not suffering anymore. And then we say to ourselves, well, oh my gosh, two things. Well, then why aren't we there? Why don't we just do it? And Deb, why do you tell people that? Because then everyone's going to do it. And here's the catch on all of that. Those of us who take our lives in any lifetime, you cross over and you experience the life review, the pain of yourself, the pain you did cause on other people while you were here and you're passing, they're going to experience that. And then they finally release all of it and are returned to the love and source. But whatever it was that caused a person to take their life, they're coming into the next lifetime with that same lesson to repeat. So it's sort of like, oh God, you've got to start all over again in the next lifetime. So say it was a love triangle and you were upset that someone left you and went for someone else, and you took your life because you were distraught over the fact that you were not chosen. The next lifetime you come in, that is going to be one of your biggest lessons, which means all of us are on that cycle. Who's to say that maybe I didn't take my life right before this lifetime, and now I have to teach people about the other side so that I can release myself of the lessons that I didn't pass the first time. So we're all in that cycle of lessons. And that goes back to one of the first questions tonight of talking about, do we choose our parents? Maybe if, like I just described, the love triangle and not being chosen was your lesson, maybe in this lifetime you weren't chosen, but this time it wasn't a lover, it was a parent. And you have to live that over so that you get it this lifetime. So, I always tell people, I'm like, my gosh, it's definitely not worth taking your life because, my God, we got to do this shit all over again. And who wants to do that? So that would be, to me, that's the motivation of like, all right, don't check out, Deb, don't check out because you got to start all over. And I don't want to do that. So they're fine though. They're completely and entirely fine and have crossed over and are at peace. Very important question. Oh, Patty, that's why you have vertigo. That is absolutely one of the reasons why you have vertigo. Vertigo is also a lot of times not wanting to listen to what other people say, either about you or about a situation, because vertigo is an inner ear issue often, and it's a lot about not wanting to hear something. So you might want to look into that. Louise Hay wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. You can also Google metaphysical reasons for vertigo, and you will read all about the mental and emotional causes of disease in the body, which is super, super valuable. I don't know why we don't talk about this stuff in just regular life, in school, I wish. Nicole writes, did I fix my firewall? I thought I did. I don't know. Last week at meditation at the center, which meditation is every other week, so it'll be this coming Sunday at 7 p.m. at the center in Newburgh. You can just show up. It's $10 to come. Come like 10, 15 minutes early to take your spot. You sit in a chair, you lay on a yoga mat. I have them for you. And we meditate in a group, and I will get you to meditate. Trust me, I can get you to come and relax yourself. For those of you who are like, no, I can't. You can. Last week during the meditation, it was mind-boggling that there were two energies that kept talking to me from, the other side. And so much so that I kept losing my train of thought in the meditation. It was making me crazy. And when we came out of the meditation, I apologized to everyone and said, oh my gosh, I have two energies talking to me. And we did a little bit of readings at meditation, which never happens, because I said to the woman, Antonetta, I said, I don't know how your family member got through my firewall. I have a firewall set up. I don't know how they got through, but they did. So I think I fixed it, but I don't know what that was about. Here's a good question from Kelly. How are you, honey? How long do people usually take between lifetimes? Is there a rest period? That's a great question. Carol Bowman is my personal go-to expert for all things past life regression. There doesn't seem to be, from what I've read, Dr. Brian Weiss is another go-to name, and Dr. Isaac Stevenson, or Ian Stevenson, are some of the top names in past life regression research. There doesn't seem to be an actual pattern. Someone can actually have someone pass. You could pass and then be born again another 9 months and say a week or a day later. That's rare. Sometimes it's lifetime. So I don't know the research. I don't know what the typical time is. I've never been told that on the other side. So I'm not sure entirely. I don't believe there is a set time period by any chance. And I don't know what causes one energy to come in, say, within a day versus 50 years or centuries even. I don't know what is behind that, but my God, please don't let me start thinking of that, because now I'm going to need therapy on that topic, because I will be thinking and delving into it. Beth is writing about the suicide question. If the suicide was caused by mental illness or substance abuse, yes, that too, Beth, is something that needs to be replayed. So perhaps mental illness is what caused you to take your life. So in the next lifetime, perhaps you live again with mental illness, or you live alongside of someone with mental illness so that you learn deeper about mental illness and can see it in a different light. So it doesn't even mean that it has to be your mental illness in the next lifetime. So that's very, very good question. Or substance abuse. Perhaps for those of you who have a family member or friend or loved one currently suffering from mental illness or substance abuse, who is to say that in another lifetime you didn't pass and take your own life in that way, and that person in this lifetime is showing you that other side of it. So it starts to get complicated, but this is where compassion comes in. This is where we can start to see each other through a non-judgmental lens. Now, that does not mean that you should be an enabler of someone, of, say, substance abuse, but you also cannot judge it. And that is the biggest thing. If I could sum up the difference between being human and being in pure energy form or spirit form, is that very fact. The human condition has a judgment factor, and it is the part of us that trips us up every time. Every time we judge something, oh, I would never do that. I would never say that. Why the heck did someone do that? That's ridiculous. I wouldn't wear that. I wouldn't, whatever the judgment is, big or small, that is a facet of the ego, of the mind, of the human self that is somehow trying to create a disconnect between one person and another, or one person and a group, or two groups, or nations. And that's where it goes awry. Spirit to spirit, energy to energy, we all know we're the exact same. We're the exact same pool. We're all, say, the water from the Pacific Ocean. We're all just housed in different little glasses and figurines and bathtubs and pools, but it's all the same water that's collected. So that is the big difference. And that's one of the big things that we're here to learn, is the art of non-judgment, of seeing something as, if you don't understand how or why someone could behave as they do, look at that and realize, oh, I did not have their life experiences. I did not have whatever it was that causes someone to behave in a way that feels bad to others. You didn't have that. And that's when grace comes in. That's when compassion, that's when true love, that goes back to your authentic self. I can have great compassion for humans that do really horrific things because I'm grateful that in this lifetime I didn't choose to live out that persona. I didn't choose to be a, mass murderer. I didn't choose to be Hitler in this lifetime. And I have compassion for it. Not to say that I'm condoning acts. There's a difference. But I can have compassion and say, it's the grace of God that it is not me doing those acts. And again, that's high level thinking and respect, human to human, energy to energy. Doesn't mean you need to condone it. Doesn't mean you need to invite it into your world. If it doesn't feel good to you, it doesn't feel good to you, and you have the right to put boundaries in your life. But to have judgment of anyone else, that's when things start going awry. That's when our true spirituality gets tested. Meditation is this coming Sunday in Newburgh. You're all always welcome to attend. You just show up. Only in cases of like bad snowy weather do you really have to like check to see if it's canceled. But if it is, I always put it up on Facebook. So you want to like my Facebook page. But I rarely cancel those meditations. It is so powerful. It is my favorite thing that I do because I get to see people actually applying all of this to their lives themselves. Oh my God, I scared the hell out of me. It's just my phone timer. Woohoo. Anywho, so that is Sunday night at 7:00 at my center in Newburgh, 372 Fullerton Avenue. Come, just attend. Come to when I read and talk, I can't even, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Meditation, come, 7:00. Come a little early. That's what I was saying. Come early to get your spot. It's $10. It's super informal. That's powerful. I'm also adding to my calendar for 2019 a ton of workshops. I am resurrecting the most powerful workshop by far that I teach. And for those of you who have taken it on here, it is my energy awareness class, also formerly known as Reiki 1. I am developing my own style of energetic healing and personal awareness. And this class that I've taught, I haven't taught it in I think it's over 3 years, because it takes a lot out of me and it takes a lot out of you, but it will upgrade you and move you tremendously. I only take a certain amount of participants. That will open up in, is it February or March? Now I can't remember, but that'll be on the calendar shortly. I am teaching a vision board workshop at the end of this year on the Sunday before New Year's Eve. I am anticipating doing some sort of Christmas Eve, candlelight memorial, stillness session. Haven't quite named it or entitled it, but I'll have something on Christmas Eve morning or the day before, because I know a lot of us are traveling or so busy on Christmas Eve. So probably the day before. The vision board workshop, very powerful. This is about teaching you how to create a visual representation as a constant reminder to your subconscious mind of what it is you're waking up for. What is it that you're after? Where is your focus? What is it you want to manifest in your life? And some people say like, oh, it's just wishful thinking for like a great car. And that could be it. Maybe that's what you want. It was a really great car. But it's so much more than that. I delve into the creating a vision for yourself on the emotional level, on the feeling level, which is the most powerful level. So the vision board workshop, that is going to be super selective, meaning very few people, because I'd really like to work deeper. Maybe 20, I think is what I sought out for. And if I have a really strong pull, I might just do that in 2 classes of 20, but pay attention to that. Let's see. What else do I have coming up? I'm teaching Reiki, master level Reiki, to only the students who took 1, 2, and 3 with me already. So if you've taken Reiki 1 and 2 with another practitioner, with me, you would have to start all over with Reiki 1, which is my energy awareness, personal transformation workshop. So you'd have to start all over. I think that's it. Do I do workshops for teens? Jennifer, I'm so glad you asked that question. I am seriously contemplating doing a vision board workshop for teens. Partially because my sons and my niece were all sitting around the table with me recently, and we were talking about it, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to do one. So I feel like I could entice them to take it. We'll see how that works, because they're just going to be like, oh, you're a jerk, Mom. You don't know what you're talking about. They'll do a lot of that, and that makes me, my human self gets pissed. But I am thinking of doing a vision board workshop for teens as well. I was just recently asked to come do a fair at Newburgh Free Academy, teaching kids about meditation, which is like so thrilling, and we're trying to work that out in my schedule. Let's see. The book, I will put up a link on the chat below. Oh, I think I could do that now. Hold on. Let's see. Oops. Nope. That did not do it. I don't know what the heck that did. Yeah, no, never mind. Forget that. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. I just put the link for the book that's through Amazon. For those of you who have read it, if you don't mind just setting up a review on it, that would be super, super, super helpful. And let's see. What else do I have going on here? Do we want more questions? Elvis, thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Elvis Duran, the morning show, they're having a contest. If you go to elvistvcasting.com and just fill out and nominate me as somebody who is helpful in the world. And I've always talked about wanting to be on the Elvis Duran show in Manhattan. I don't talk about really wanting to be on any other show but that show. And why? I don't know. Like, I don't talk about like, oh, I want to be on Oprah. I mean, everybody wants to be on Oprah. And I'm not denying that I would totally call Oprah back if she called, but she hasn't since or yet. So, whatever. But I really don't talk about like, oh, I want to be on Oprah. I always talk about when I'm on the Elvis Duran show, I want to be on the Elvis Duran show. So they are taking and looking for new people to be on their show or to do a whole other, I think it's like a TV program. I'm not even totally sure where this will go. But I will get on Elvis's show with your help. So go to elvistvcasting.com and you can fill out and nominate me, Deborah, right there, for that show. They do ask my age, and I will remind you that a friend of mine wrote that my age was 48, which is fine. The age of 48 is a fine age, except when I'm not 48 or even close to it. I'm 42, so 6 years away, and I'm counting those 6. So please just write that I'm 42 years old and write that properly. That would be great. So there you go. Let's see. I'm reading this. The Deb Hamlin Show. Oh, you know what? Thank you, Allison. Last thing. I am going to start opening up my show, Intuitive View, which is getting launched very shortly. You have to go to YouTube and click on YouTube so that you can see my episodes. All my old episodes are up there, but I have a new launch. And I interviewed James Van Praagh last week, which was super highlight for me. But what I'm also going to do is choose people with certain or very particular issues that they really need help with in their life and have my intuitive view, my intuitive perspective come through, if you will. So what I'm talking about is it's getting late. Cried. I have an ugly cry, according to James. Like my first one when I do this will be with a mom who has a son with mental illness and is autistic. And I've known this woman for many years. I've spoken to her about it at length, about her son, who I've known for at least, 15 years now. And one of my shows will be about me and how I can help her through how she handles this. So I will start to open up the floor for, you could write into me and say, listen, I've had this issue and I really need some insight and guidance on it. and then I will connect with you and we will have a conversation over the phone or on Skype like this, and that will be my show. So if you want to be on my show and you do have an issue that other people can relate to and you're willing and open to sharing what that issue is. Now, this would not be mediumship readings or anything like that. It's more along the lines of what I really, really love, which is insight coaching, if you will, to give those insights of this is why you're responding that way and so on and so forth. So that is coming as well. And thank you guys. Thank you for all your constant, fabulous, wonderful comments, and I'm going to read them all. I usually now go up to bed, into my bed. That is if like all the dishes are done in the kitchen. And I will go through your comments and go ahead and like them, and I try to answer as many as I physically possibly can. Probably just 2-word answers, but if anything pops out that you asked tonight that I didn't see while you were writing it, I write those down to address them for next week. So don't forget meditation this Sunday. Check my website, deborahhanlon.com, for all sorts of new classes coming up. We have an announcement after Thanksgiving, so stay tuned for that. If you're on my newsletter, you are always the first one to be notified of when I have an appointment availability and all my new workshops. The gallery this week, Poughkeepsie Grand, is my last one for the year, so that's a great one to attend. And I only have 2 others, I believe, for the rest of the year. 3, but the one at the center is sold out. What else? I think that's it, guys. Oh, no, my Elvis Duran, you could do that. And the book signing, November 17th in Newburgh. All of it is on my calendar link on my website. I know, so many things I'm doing. It's fantastic. Thank you all very much. I love that you're tuning in. I love that you're interested and have questions, because if you didn't have questions, I wouldn't have anything to answer. So, and I'd probably be eating like brownies upstairs, which I still will now. So good night, everyone. And I'll speak with you soon, I hope. Bye.